kita. Macam saya galak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. How are you? Semua okay?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, sir.
Today we're going to discuss about the homework, the first homework, and hopefully today we can finish up this chapter number 4. We're going to look at partial public good. That will be the last part of that chapter. So let's go through the first homework. Oh yeah, I have one announcement. It's about quiz number 1. We're going to have a quiz on the now is week number 5, right? So in 2 weeks time before the break, that will be week number 7. We will have quiz. So you have a quiz, that will be week 7. Now we are not sure yet whether it is on the Tuesday or Thursday, but week 7. So just take note of that. Okay, secondly, we're going to look at the discussion. I mean, I'm going to give you just some brief, what do you call it? Brief discussion on the homework. If you look at the articles that I asked you to read, there are 2 articles, and that is on the government. So if we go each article at a time, okay? One article at a time. Now the first one is by Akram Khan. So if you look at Akram Khan, I think he is more specific in terms of, I mean, if you compare to the other article, in terms of the justification of the role of government, you know, how do you justify? So he justified in terms of what? In terms of maslahah, you know, that's the main point. He was arguing that the government should take care of the maslahah of the people. Okay, maslahah meaning welfare. Okay, and then he was saying absolute maslahah means welfare of the people. And then he also mentioned about relative maslahah. In other words, sometimes you may not be able to take care of everyone, but you have to consider what? You have to consider the maslahah of the majority. If something, you know, a policy or a project that is to be done and it gives benefit to more people than cost to smaller number of people. So in the interest of maslahah, we can proceed. All right. So that is the concept of maslahah. Of course, the government also has to, you know, to provide the fundamental legal and social framework to ensure free market economy. So she was talking about the maslahah, and then also there's a need to provide what? To provide the legal and the social framework, that means law and order, for market economy, right? For the market to operate. So the government just facilitate, all right, to enforce contract, define property right, to formulate law and order so that you have a peaceful society and people can do their everyday activity freely with the guidance of course, Sharia. So that is his justification. So I just look at that maslahah, if you discuss about maslahah a little bit, that will be good. Okay, and then you look at the other article, Ziauddin Ahmad. He didn't go any specific. He just based it on general concept that is based on what? That is based on the Quran and Sunnah. So the basis of Al-Quran. So he didn't go specific on Sunnah. The duty is for the government to provide what? To provide or to establish justice and order. So justice and order so that the people can conduct their economic activities freely. Of course, with certain rules. But the rules are based on the Quran and Sunnah, right? So based on that, the government establish order and law, and that will ensure justice so that people can conduct their everyday economic activities. So that is the second article. Now, if you look at the role, all right, if you look at the role, Ziauddin Ahmad, I think he provide more specific. So this is the role similar to what we were discussing. Number one is the public defense, all right? And then public defense, integrity of the state, maintenance of law and order, propagation of good and suppression of evil, and then ensure basic minimum standard. So there's a point here to ensure basic minimum standard of living. So this is a welfare program. I mean, a welfare job for the government to ensure everybody or the most poorest people or the poorest household in the society will enjoy a basic minimum standard of living. Now, how do you define that basic? We don't know, okay? So the government has to come up either relative poverty criteria or absolute poverty criteria, or, based on certain purchasing power. So that will be what the government job. But that is one of the role. And also the point that he mentioned, another point, is the fair distribution. Okay, fair distribution of income and resources. So we want to ensure the income gap, all right, between the very rich and the very poor will not be too large. Okay, so I think there should be some tax system, okay, tax system or I don't know, but there will be some mechanism to ensure or to maintain that fair distribution. But sometimes, what is fair? Okay, so that is another issue. But anyhow, that is the role. Okay, if you look at the other one, Akram Khan, in terms of the role, he also mentioned income redistribution. Okay, income redistribution in terms of subsidy, redistribution, subsidy, education, land reform, things like that. And also the government has to make sure the market works, okay? The market, there is a free market in terms of enforcement. So there is an institution of Al-Hisbah. Okay, Al-Hisbah is an institution from the government to make sure the economic agents, the sellers especially, and the buyers will behave, okay? Will behave like in perfect competition. That means you have perfect information, all right? You have uniform product, and then you have the interaction of the sellers and buyers. No one seller can influence the price. So Al-Hisbah will make sure that. In other words, if you are selling a good at a certain price, you must give full information of that product, okay? So that the consumers are well informed. So it's more like, you want to make sure the market is competitive so that there will be fair price. So that is basically the two articles. And when I read, some of you, of course, most of you do the both, but there are one or two who just read one article. So that is only half of the homework. So you have to do both, and look what are their views. Okay. Any question about this homework? All right. So that is about the homework. Now I'm going to look at. I will continue from where we left last class. So if you go back to what we were doing, we were talking about the government will come in and the government will impose a tax. And to make life simple, the tax will be just the average cost of the good divided by the number of the taxpayers or the number of people in the society. So we got AC over N, and we came up with the implication that there will be some people who will be happy because the marginal benefit will be higher than the average cost. And there will be some people who will not be very happy because the tax is higher than the marginal benefit at the equilibrium level of the output. All right, so that is one implication of the tax. So now I want to touch a little bit about what happened if the public good is provided by the market. Now say that good is like a private good. Instead of it's a public good, it's a private good. In other words, it will be determined by the market. Okay, the market provided or market provision. Now, if it is a private good, the difference is the demand function. Okay, now how do you get the market demand for a private good? The equilibrium condition is demand equal to supply. Okay, or the marginal cost equal to the marginal benefit. Now this is the market. Okay, so the market demand equals supply, the market demand equals supply. So this marginal benefit, we can also call it the market marginal benefit. So now, how do you get the market demand function for a private good? Oh, this is the one where we started, You started with a private good. We didn't start with a public good. In economics, we start with private good. How do you get the demand function for a private good? For a public good, How do you get the demand function? The market demand. You add the marginal willing, you add the prices at each quantity. Okay. Now for a private good, how do you do that? We have for private good, everybody pay how much? What about the price they pay? Do they pay different price or do we pay the same price?
Same price,
Same price.
different quantity.
You consume different quantities. Okay. So here it's a horizontal summation. In other words, horizontal summation, that means we add Q, okay, at each prices. So that's how you got the demand function. So if you go back to the example that is given in the book, go to the table or to our example earlier. Okay, let me see. I thought I didn't put the full table. So refer to the table in the book. The example on the public good, chapter 4. This is the table given, figure, the table 4.2. So you have to add different quantities, okay, for everyone at each price. So go to figure, not figure, table 4.2. So the only difference is the market demand. All right. So if you look at that table, at each price, okay, or at each marginal benefit, the willingness to pay. So if you look at the table here, we start with the highest price. All right. So you list out the price or the marginal benefit, and then what is the Q? Okay. In order for us to get the private, the demand for if the good is a private good. So how do you add? You go to each price. We start with the highest one, right? 300. If the price is 300, then how much is the quantity demanded? You look at the table. Look at the price 300. Determine what is the corresponding quantity. Do you see the table? I thought everybody has a book, right? Okay, look at the table. 300. How many quantity is it? There is only one. Okay, which is the demand for A. Okay, at 300, quantity demanded is only 1 unit from A. All right, this is A. Now, what is the next price? 250. Okay, 250. How many is the quantity?
2.
How many?
2, sir.
2. 2 is for A. All right. A will demand 2 units. Now you look at the price. Is there anybody else demand certain quantity at that price? 2 is right. You know, 2 is how much A is willing to buy. Okay. But if you look at the table, there is another person who's willing to pay. You know, he's willing to pay 250 for a certain amount of the output. How many?
A, sir, 1 unit.
A, okay.
1 unit.
Not A, it's B.
B.
Okay, it's B because we are taking the horizontal table. We actually the table is read horizontally. Okay. So it's B, 1 unit. So you got 2 plus 1, that is equal to 3. All right. So 2 unit for A, 1 unit from B. So we go for the next price, 200. So if it is 200, then how many people? 1 for C. All right. Anybody else willing to buy at 150? Okay, no, there is no C.
2 for B.
Okay, no, I'm sorry, not C. What? B. How many units will demand?
3 for A, 2 for B, 1 for C, right?
So if you look at 200, C will demand 1. Is that right? C
Yes, sir.
demand 1,
Yes, sir.
and then B 2. Okay, and then you have A 3. So total becomes 6. All right, and so you do it all the prices. You just do it up to 150. Okay, at 150, you will see the C is willing to buy 2 units. Okay, that's for C. And then B is willing to buy 3 units. What about A? A 4 units. So you got 9. So it's a nice number, 1369. So what we do next is that the marginal cost is still the same. All right, marginal cost, private good, public good, same. There is no, don't worry about this. It will be given. The marginal cost is given in this case here is a constant which is equal to 450. All right, equal to the average cost, that is 450. So marginal cost, don't worry, okay, it will be given. It will be the same, regardless of a public good or private good, because the cost is just a cost of production, okay? But the demand function is different. So if you have this, all right, you have the marginal cost or the average cost equal to 450. Now, I want you to draw the market demand function for the private good. You have here Q equal to 1, price is 300. Q equal to 3, the price is 250, and so on. So you can either draw it on the new graph or just put it in the graph that we already have for the public good. Just to just make sure that this curve here is about if the good is a private good, then what is the efficient quantity to provide? Okay, get me the market demand and draw it on the curve on the graph and see what is the equilibrium. So tell me what is the equilibrium quantity? Okay, anybody got it? So you can draw it on the same graph. If I go back to my graph, I can draw it. Yeah. Okay, you can draw it in this graph. So here is the public good. All right. You already have the quantity, the prices, and the quantities here. So you just use another color to put in that demand function if that good is a private good. Or you can draw another graph, that will be fine. Okay, you got the demand function? Okay, everybody, anybody got demand function? What is the equilibrium? Now I go back
There's
to
no
that graph.
equilibrium, sir.
Huh?
No equilibrium.
There'll be no equilibrium. Okay, why? Because if you draw the market demand function, you will see that I'm going to use color benda tu. Habislah color. I will use that color. Okay, if you look at that demand function or the relationship between the price and the quantity, when the Q is equal to 1, the market demand is 300. So here is 200, 450, okay, 300 will be somewhere here lah. All right, so that is 1 point. All right, and then if it is 250, 3. So at Q equal to 3, it's 250. 250, 300, 250 be somewhere. 200, 250 be somewhere here. Okay, somewhere there. And then 200, you got 9. 9 or, 200 got 6 somewhere here. 200 be 6. Okay, so you have to extend the line. So you connect the points. That will be the demand for the private good. I put DP, private PR. Okay, so that would be the demand function. And if you extend the line, of course, that will go up to here. All right, we'll be cutting zero somewhere more than 300 lah. I do not know, maybe 350. So if you look at the equilibrium condition, the marginal cost is this one. All right, and the demand is that point. I mean the function. Equilibrium, demand equals supply, or the sum of the marginal benefit equal to the marginal cost for the private good. Now, if you look at this diagram graphically, there will be no point. Okay, there will be no intersection between the marginal cost, the supply, and the demand. Okay, there will be no. The intersection will be somewhere here. Of course, if you continue up to there, it will intersect, but that is negative quantity. All right, negative quantity doesn't make sense. So our conclusion will be there will be no private good provided. I mean, there is no exchange in the private good. Why? Because there is no point where the marginal cost is equal to the demand function. At each output or each Q bigger than 0 or equal to 0, the marginal cost is higher than the demand, or the marginal cost is higher than the marginal benefit. Okay, so there will be no equilibrium. Okay, so if you look at that thing, if it is a public good, then there's a problem, for the market to provide, because there will be no equilibrium. Correct? So if it is a private good, for equilibrium, you have a demand equal supply, or the sum of the marginal benefit for the public good, or private good, I'm sorry, equal to the marginal cost. All right? So if you look at the graph, from the graph, there is no Q, all right, where the demand equal to the supply. Okay. Now, if you go more specific, at all Q, okay, bigger or equal to 0, the marginal cost is higher than the price they are willing to pay, or the sum of the marginal benefit. Okay, so marginal cost is higher than the price for every Q bigger than 0 or 0. So the good will not be provided. So as you know, if the marginal cost is higher than the price, it's not equilibrium, right? They will not be provided. So no Q. or in other words, Q equals to 0. So a public good, normally we have difficulty, okay, provided by the market, because there will be no equilibrium. The marginal cost will be always higher than the marginal benefit or the price. So that is if, you know, in a case where the good is a private good. Okay, any question about that? So the point here is, okay, the point here, what we are trying to do here, we are trying to differentiate the market demand for a public good, private good. Okay, they are not the same. The way we get the market demand is the other way around, is the reverse of the other. Okay, next. We look at the same thing, okay, get the market demand, but here, suppose we are given, okay, the demand function. The demand functions for everyone. Okay. Now, how do we get the market demand? Or the sigma marginal benefit. Now, this is again public good lah, bukannya private good. The private good kita dah finish. So that is on the public good. And of course, we can also do that for a private good, but we are starting with the private, with the public good. So here again, remember, we are talking about vertical summation. Okay, vertical summation of the demand function. All right. In other words, at each Q, you will add up the price. Okay. So suppose you are given the demand function. We've got A, B, C, D. Okay, A, B, C, D. For A, you got P equals
let's watch a recap of the events. Let's watch a recap so we understand.
Plus B1.
Yeah, I think we should. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah,
Who's that sound?
A year ago, my life was pretty normal. I lived in the greatest place ever.
Bunyi apa tu?
Represent. Cool
Hello.
Love all things science.
I think you have to turn off the other one.
My dad was killed in the city hall bomb.
Oh, kacau tu.
Brother
Pegat ni.
Azim.
Woi. Apa benda tu? No, when you are listening to our class, tak payahlah on something else. You know, that is disturbing. Apa bunyi perangai ni? Siapa buat tu? Respect the class.
Sorry,
okay?
sir.
Listen to that. Go ahead.
Sorry, sir.
Don't be here. Okay, go away. Ini apa ni? Pasal malam ke? Ingat senang ke nak ngajar online ni? Susah, you know. It's difficult because I'm alone. I don't see you. Okay? So, cooperate lah. When I'm talking, tak payahlah nak main segala sound. Apa benda? Ayo. Okay, for B, you have, say, P equal to A2Q plus B2. And C, you got, say, P equal to A3 Q plus B3. Now, the reason I put on the video for you, the mic, the audio, is because easier for us to participate. Okay, I want you to participate. I want you to, if you have a question, you have a comment, go ahead. Raise it up. But it does not mean that you can listen to something else. Okay. That is a negative externality. It either disturb me, not either, it disturb both. Disturb me and disturb other. Okay, other people who want to learn. So, cooperate. Okay. All right. For D, you got P equal to A4Q plus B4. So you have 4 people. Suppose you have 4 people. and you want to get the demand function, okay, the market demand function. And as you know, you have the vertical summation for the public good. That means you have to add the marginal benefit or the prices at each Q. So this is the form of the demand function that we need. Price function of Q. Okay. So how do you get the demand function? You will get it by adding the prices. All right. So you add the prices, that will be equal to what? That will be equal to A1Q plus B1, yeah, that's 1, plus A2Q plus B2 plus A3Q plus B3 plus A4Q plus B4. So you add them up, what do I get? You add you break out the constant and the Q. So you got A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4 multiplied by Q plus now the sum of the constants B1, B2, B3, B4. Okay, so that's how we get the demand function for a public good. We add the demand function P as a function of Q, and you just simply add them up. Okay. So as an example, suppose we have for A, P equal to maybe I'll give you an example. Negative is the demand function. Lupa. Demand function negative slope. Okay, you say you got negative 3Q plus 10. And then for the next person, let's say we have negative 2Q plus 20. And then for the third person, negative 1.5Q plus 11. So how do you add the market demand function? You got the market demand function equal to what? Equal to the sum of this. Okay? So that will be equal to B1, B2, B3, Q. So that will be negative 6.5 Q plus all the constants, that will be 41. So that's how you get the market demand. All right? You add up the demand function P as a function of Q. Okay. So I think we have done, on the public good model, we already look at the private, if it is a good, if the good is private, or if the demand function is given as a function. So we do that already. So I'll give you the homework question for chapter number 4. So this is the problems. Okay, problems chapter 4. So do number 1. Okay, number 1 is the main focus. All right, it's similar to the example that we were doing, to the model that we're doing in this chapter. And then I want you to do number 2. Suppose congestion. Good. Okay, number 3. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. So that is the basic model of a pure public good. Now, I will look at the case where you have partial public good. Because many cases in the world, the good is not pure public good. All right, it's partial. So there are 2 goods, okay, which are partial public good. One is the good is rival, non-excludable. So when you got a rival public good, rival, I think you do what? Ada ED, rival public good. I think there is an ED, rival public good. Sometimes we can call it congestible public good, because as more people coming in, the cost congestion. For example, the bridge, okay, road, or sometimes we can call this club good, okay, club good, swimming pool, swimming pool, or what is this, playground, okay. So that good is rival, but it's non-excludable, okay. You cannot exclude people from using it, but as more people coming in, there will be less quantity available for everyone. So when there is less quantity available for everyone, it will generate congestion costs. Okay, it will generate external costs. It will generate externality. So there will be an external cost, or we can call it, if you're talking about the a road, we can call it congestion costs. Okay, there will be congestion costs. So that is the first model that we're going to look at. We're going to look at a good that is rival, okay, but non-excludable. So that is the criteria. It could satisfy only one criteria. But even though it's non-excludable, we can find, okay, we can find a way to exclude some people. Okay, we can find a way to exclude some people. For example, the road. Okay, a road is rival public good, contestable public good. How do you exclude some people from using the road? Or bridge, okay, the Penang Bridge. Okay, how do you exclude some cars from using the bridge? They will go maybe by the ferry, or maybe they go by bus. Okay, how do you exclude these people? There is a mechanism to exclude. Okay, so this is the model that we're going to look at. This is very relevant, okay, to real life. Now, when you have a rival public good, first we're going to look at the marginal cost of the public good. So number one, we're going to look at the marginal cost. Now, this is not marginal cost of production, okay? This is the marginal cost of the good, with respect to the number of people, with respect to N, all right? N means the number of users. It's not the marginal cost in terms of the output level, okay? This is the marginal cost of providing that good related to the number of users, okay? So let's think of this way. Suppose the good is already being provided. The marginal cost is being incurred, let's say equal to 200 or 450. So let's say the marginal cost of providing the good is 450, which is the average cost. That based on the example that you already have. Now this good is already being provided. Okay. Now, how do this cost behave? Or change as more people are using that good. So that is the relationship that you want to find, okay? How do this marginal cost or the average cost, if we assume that it's a constant, relate or change with respect to number of users? For example, the bridge. The bridge is already being built, okay? Now, how does the average cost or marginal cost of building the bridge change as the number of users change or number of users increases? Okay, how is there any change of the cost for with respect to the number of users? There will be no change. Okay, there will be no change. So once the good is provided, let's say, in our example, Q, 3 units, that is provided. The marginal cost, in this case, it's a constant, all right? So it's the average cost of the marginal cost or the average cost does not change, all right, as n increases. So that's not change since it's constant. So average cost or the increase in the average cost is 0. So there will be no increment of the average cost or the marginal cost, regardless of how many people are using it. Okay, because the good is being provided already, regardless of 1 people using it, or 2 people, or 100 people, there will be no increment in the average cost. Okay, so here the average cost of the good. So if you look at the diagram or the curve, we look something like this. You draw the marginal cost. You got here n, okay, and here the users, number of users, and that is 0, and that is the marginal cost, average cost. Okay, we know to provide the good, you incur the average cost, say 450. So say that is the average cost. Call it AC0, AC. For our example, 450. That is already being incurred. Now, as more people using that public good, there will be no change in the average cost. Okay? Or the change in the average cost there is no change. So in other words, the average cost will be 0. Okay, for everyone, for different number of n. So therefore, the average cost will be this horizontal line. Okay, on that thing. So the average cost here, average cost will be equal to 0 as n increases. Okay, anybody has a question on that? Are you clear on it? So think of it, the average cost related to the number of users. So the good is a public good. So either you have 1 people using it, or you have 100 people using it. There will be no increase in the marginal cost. Okay, or the average cost. Clear? All right, good. Now, when you are looking at a rival public good, okay, or contestable public good, as n increases, you have what? You have congestion, or you have more people. There will be less quantity available for everyone, or you can say here you get less queue for everyone. Just like the grazing field, as more cows coming in, there'll be less grass for all cows. So every cow now become thinner. Okay, so in that sense, there is a cost. Okay, you call it congestion cost, and this cost is like external cost. Okay, it's not like cost of input. This is including psychological costs, including some implicit costs. It's just like external costs. So to give you an example, suppose we look at that bridge, okay, the example of the bridge. So if you have a bridge connecting Penang Island and the mainland, Sebukan Perai, okay. Now, as more cars, as more vehicle coming in, all right, there will be congestion. Now, what is the cost to the users or the drivers as more cars coming in? you have traffic jam. Sometimes even, you know, you got 2 hours being trapped on the sea, you know. Now, what are the costs that we incur due to that rivalry?
Time cost.
Apa dia?
Petrol.
Petrol cost. Okay, one is petrol cost. Okay, that one is measurable. What is the other cost?
Time.
Time, sir.
Apa dia?
Time.
Time.
Your time cost. Okay, you suppose, you know, normally you can reach the island in half an hour or maybe less, 15 minutes. Now it take you 2 hours. Okay, so time cost, petrol cost, apa lagi?
Energy.
Your energy. Okay, psychological cost. You become angry. You know, people become more angry. You know, they'll be honking, things like that. Okay, so this is called the congestion cost. Okay, congestion cost is an external cost. So it's time cost, cost to your health, you know, psychological cost, and the direct one is cost of your petrol. So as the number of people increase, okay, so as n increases, the congestion cost will also be increased. All right, so let us define that congestion cost. So we denote the congestion cost by CC, and that CC is a function of n. Okay, so that depends on the number of users. It cannot depend on the number of the good. Okay, it's depending on the number of user, because the good become rival. Okay, it's congestible. And the marginal cost, you got the marginal congestion cost, call it CCN, CC prime. So that is the marginal congestion cost. Marginal congestion cost. Okay, call it CC prime, or you can put N over here. All right. So that is the additional cost due to the rivalry. So let's say, okay, I want to put this in, and that CCN or CC prime N will also increase, okay, as N increases. So we want to put that into this diagram to reflect the congestion. So let us suppose, all right, for this good, the average cost or the marginal cost is equal to 0 up to some point here, call it N star. That is the optimum amount, the optimum number of user for this congestible public good where there is no congestion. All right. So that N star is the maximum N without rival, without congestion. I think congestion tenang, without congestion. Beyond N, okay, there will be congestion. So everybody will suffer congestion costs. So we look at the marginal congestion cost. After that N, that cost will be going up. Okay, so that is CCN. Okay, all right. So yeah, I got to extend that up to there. Okay, this model here is not in the book. Okay, so make sure we get the diagram. Okay, the book has only the first model. The book has that diagram, but it didn't go into the equilibrium. Okay, so that is a diagram similar to this, but without the congestion. So you have here the congestion, the marginal congestion cost. All right, and of course, if you look at the demand function, say that is the market demand function, call it, say here, call it, say here D1, right? So if the demand function is D1, so you got the equilibrium N, all right? Equilibrium N will be determined by the market demand equal to the marginal cost, all right? Or in this case here is the average cost, okay? Marginal cost or equal to the average cost. So if you look at for N, okay, less than N star, example, D1 equal to the MC. So here you got N equal to say N1. Now, at that point, is there any congestion? N1, is there any congestion or no congestion?
No.
No congestion. Okay, everybody is fine. So the demand will increase up to here, D star. There will be the optimum amount of N without congestion. Okay. Now, suppose the demand will increase further because of the increased number of cars, number of vehicles. The demand now say go up to here. So the point is what I'm saying, for N less than N star, there will be no congestion. Everybody is fine. Okay. But now, as the demand increase higher, suppose demand increase to here, call it D2. All right. So if you look at this diagram, due to the congestion cost, the marginal cost is no more equal to 0. Okay. The marginal cost is now equal to what? Equal to the CCN. Okay, the marginal congestion cost. So for the equilibrium beyond N, okay, so for N bigger than N star, our equilibrium now is demand equal to C prime N. Of course, that is equal, of course, at that you add to the marginal cost, okay? But the marginal cost is 0, okay? That's 0, so you don't have to do it now. So we just put the CC prime, okay? So I think I put that thing so that we can know the basic concept. Plus marginal cost equal to CC prime N, since marginal cost is 0, all right? So that will be our equilibrium condition after N is bigger than N star. So if you look at that point, or that equilibrium, with D2, given D is equal to D2, you'll see here that will be the equilibrium. Okay, call it E1. And the number of users will be here, or I use N1. So here you put N0, tukar. Okay, N0. I'm going to use N1 here, because that is E1. All right. So put the first amount D N0. Ini pun kita panggil D0. Okay. Now you got D2, D. Oh, tak apa. We didn't indicate any other label for the other D. So here you call it D1. Okay, so that will be consistent. E1, D1. So that D1 is already having positive congestion cost. Okay, so you got N equal to N1. So given the demand function is D1, all right, equilibrium now becomes D1 equal to CC prime N. So Q or N is equal to N1, where N1 here is bigger than N star. So there will be congestion. So CC prime N at N1 is bigger than 0. CC prime N, okay, I should put here. At N equal to N1, CC prime N is is bigger than 0. Okay, bigger than 0, bigger than 0. Okay, so the equilibrium after the demand has gone up to D1, where you have a positive congestion cost, the marginal congestion cost is positive. The equilibrium is N1, where you have congestion. There will be congestion. Okay, everybody will incur congestion costs. So what do? So you have the traffic jam, you have your time wasted 1 hour, and then you feel angry. Okay, people tend to be angry in the hot weather. So here you got this. All right. So now go back to the bridge. If you have congestion, too many cars on the bridge, how can we exclude some drivers from using the bridge? So at E1, okay, where you have the N1, that is the congestion cost. Okay, say equal to C1. So you have that the marginal congestion cost equal to that. Now, how can we take care of the congestion costs? In other words, how can we exclude some drivers? Or I think the basic question is, how can you internalize? Okay, you go back to externality. How can we internalize that marginal congestion costs? Anybody?
Give alternatives for the road.
Apa dia?
And
Reduce the
create
load.
alternatives.
Reduce
Yeah,
the load.
by creating alternatives. Yeah.
What did you say? I cannot hear you clearly. Can you speak louder?
So you, can you hear me?
Okay, one more time, please.
You decrease the number of users by creating alternatives.
By?
Creating alternatives for the road, like you said, ferry or any other alternative.
How do you do that? Now, you want to reduce the number of vehicles on the road, on the bridge. What the government do? The government do a basic thing, There is no complicated things. What can the government do?
Impose tax.
You impose tax. Okay? Impose tax. So in order for you to take into account that or to internalize the CC prime, okay, to reduce the congestion, internalize the C prime n, okay, CC prime n, which is equal to C1, you set tax, okay, T equal to C1. So we call it tax, or for road, you call it toll. Okay, you set the toll equal to some amount to reduce the congestion. And of course, when you charge toll or tax, not just congestion is reduced, you get also revenue. Okay, so that revenue can be used to compensate for the congestion. Sometimes, just to repair the bridge. So the thing is, the government will impose a tax that will be equal to the C1, the marginal congestion cost. So if you do that, okay, so at E1, that will be the C1, that is equal to T. So by doing that, the demand function will be reduced. Okay, some people are not willing to pay higher price. So demand function will go down to say D2. Okay, or at D2, you will have equilibrium 2. And that would be our N2. So by charging the toll, the tax, equal to the marginal congestion cost, you reduce the demand, okay? And by doing that, the demand will shift to the left. Okay, equilibrium will be E2. The number of users will be N2. Okay, now the congestion is still there, but that congestion is acceptable. Why? Because you already take into account the marginal congestion cost. Okay, just like in case of externality, it doesn't mean the externality is gone. Externality is reduced to some point where it is acceptable. All right. So you got that E2. So after you take into account or you internalize the congestion cost, the equilibrium will be E2. Okay. So the demand will decrease. All right, to D2, where of course tax is equal to that C1. Okay. And then you have the new equilibrium at E2. Number of N is N2. Now you see N2 is less than N1. So there will be less number of user, N will be decreased, and there will be less congestion. So from a social perspective, okay, this is just like a social equilibrium. From a social perspective, you take care of the marginal external cost, or you take care of the C prime, okay, setting T equal to CC prime, and that is efficient. Okay, you come up with the social equilibrium. All right, it's just like internalization of externality. So you internalize that externality. How do you do it? We set the tax. So by doing that, you move to the E2. Okay, so that will be the social equilibrium. Okay, all right. So that would be the way. Now, just for an extension of our discussion. Suppose, okay, the government think that N2, is still congestion. How can you reduce more people from using the bridge? How can you reduce N further?
Sir, there's someone on the chat box reply to.
Apa pula?
Still considered.
Can you talk to me? Kalau chat susah lah.
Yeah, someone just mentioned toll in the chat box. So I'm telling you about that.
Nak bahan. Cakap je. Okay? Because sometimes susah saya nak chat. Nak chatting ni. Okay, chat toll. Okay, that's good. Okay, now, what about if you want to reduce further the congestion? What can the government do?
Make another bridge, maybe introduce another bridge.
That's a good idea. But suppose there is no new bridge. We just consider this same bridge. When you set the toll equal to this thing here, our N is reduced to N2. Now suppose you want to reduce more, N. Still there is a lot of people there. You want to reduce more user. Okay. Building another bridge, of course, that will incur more cost. So that is a long-term plan. Okay. Now you just look at the short-term. What can the government do?
Reduce the ferry fee.
Charge higher toll.
You charge higher toll. Okay. You increase the toll price. Okay. So you increase the toll price. The T you increase. The demand function will shift more downward. So by increasing the toll, the demand can go down to here. Okay, increase the toll. So one way the government can do just play around with the tax. Okay, to reduce the number of people using, increase the toll. All right, or if you, some other option, reduce the price of the ferry. Okay, that's also a good idea. But that is, that is another option. But what I'm talking about here is just on the bridge. And another way is building the second bridge. If you look at Penang, Malaysia to Penang, not Malaysia to Penang, Penang Malaysia, to connect to the Penang Island. Now they have the other bridge, okay, the long bridge. But people still use the old bridge, all right? Because the long bridge, I passed through that bridge twice, I think twice. You get into the bridge, you go to the other end of the island, and then to move up north, you know, will take you some time, and the bridge is very long, you know, the new bridge. So people, you know, most of the people that commute, they don't come from the south, from the south. Most of them coming from Kedah, you know, the area Pematang Pauh, which is nearer to the island. So the second bridge, you know, I think it's just like a white elephant. You have a longer bridge, and you have fewer users. And so I think the better option is like what you said, maybe make the ferry free, okay? Or reduce the ferry price. But the direct way is what? Increase the toll. You increase the toll, that will reduce more people. Of course, that is not a popular choice. If you increase toll, you know, the government next election will lose the election. So this kind of taxation and toll, you have also to consider the users, you know. All right. But another point, when you look at the bridge, you know, this is another way of pricing it. Now, when is, if you look at the Penang Bridge, I think many people coming from the north, they will know. You look at the bridge, when is the most jam period? The highest congestion, you know, when is the, what period of the day or night will that be? Is there any period of time where the congestion is worse than any other? Masa bila? Okay.
Festival season, sir?
Go back from work. People go back from
more
work.
congestion during, not 24 hours. Okay. More congestion during what? During commuting time. So commuting time meaning maybe from 7 to 9 a.m. You know, there will be more people going for job, and maybe lunch time, 12 to 2. Okay, and maybe when people came back from 5 to 7, okay, or 8. During the other time, okay, maybe after at night, after 9, there will be less people. So one way to do this toll, you know, I think in Singapore, maybe they have done this. They don't charge a fixed toll. Okay, no fixed toll. They will charge variable toll. Okay, during the peak time, you charge more. Okay, say normal time now to cross the bridge, Penang, berapa ringgit? Bayar? Ringgit? I forgot already.
5 ringgit.
5 ringgit. Okay, 5 ringgit. You charge during this period, okay? You charge not 5 ringgit, charge 20 ringgit. So you will reduce congestion. And the other time, you charge 5 ringgit. Okay? Before 7, 5 ringgit. And then after 8 o'clock, 5 ringgit. So that will have incentive for people to change their behavior. There will be less people coming on the peak period. Okay? So that is one way. Charge a variable toll. Or maybe some period of the day, you know, maybe make it free. Okay, maybe 1 or 2 hours free. Maybe from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. free. Okay, because everybody is sleeping. So make it free. Make it free. So that is one way. Okay, any question about this? All right. The other public good, the other good that I want to look at is the other partial good. This good is non-rival, but you can exclude people. So this is like the satellite wave, you know, the radio wave, where the good is non-rival, you know. Everybody
Sir,
can.
sir, I want to ask.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
As for the previous rival good, because some of the congestion on highways when during peak hours they will open another lane. Is that considered as a method to reduce congestion costs? They will open another lane at the opposite way of the road.
Yeah, that can that will be a non-pricing, okay, non-pricing policy. Rather than increase the toll, you reduce congestion by introducing another lane. Susah nak cakap lah. I think that's okay lah, you know, that's okay. But that is non-pricing, all right? That will be on the quantity, okay? That is on the policy on the quantity. Instead of you increase the price, you increase the quantity. For, let's say, for a road, you know, when during the congestion peak period, you increase the quantity. So that is another policy, all right? Increase, you have the quantity policy rather than the price policy. Which way is better? That will depend. Okay, that will depend. Both have good things. If you increase the quantity, that means you maintain the same price, you will reduce the congestion. Okay, but if you look at the model that we have been talking about, we are assuming, okay, our assumption is you have fixed quantity. Okay, the quantity doesn't change. For example, the grazing field, the playground, the size, okay, or the total amount is the same, do not change. Now, if that change, then you have, you know, you will have to reconsider the implication of that change. Okay, so for us, the basic model, all right, we assume the quantity is fixed, all right, to take into account that congestion. Okay, now if you change the quantity, then the whole concept of congestion will be changed. Okay, if you change the quantity, the congestion cost will be reduced. Now, when the congestion cost is reduced, what is the implication? So to say that you cannot do that, it's not that. Okay, it's something that you have to look at. You have to change. All right, that means you have to change the one that is already being fixed. So what will happen? So if you ask me, if you increase the quantity, of course, the congestion cost will be reduced. All right. It's just like, you know, the PPF, the production possibility frontier. We assume resources is limited, right? Now, when the resources is increased, okay, to another level, then we can produce both goods. So similarly here, if the quantity is increased, then the congestion cost at any level of n will be reduced. Okay, so that is actually a shift. Okay, a shift of the equilibrium different. Okay, all right. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Yeah, it can be done, but you have to change the exogenous variable. But still, you know, congestion costs will be reduced. Okay, overall congestion costs will be reduced. But that will change everything. The n will be changed. The the congestion cost will be changed, everything will change. So we come back to the basic economic model. We assume many things constant, okay? We just look at the effect of the toll. If the one that we assume as fixed now change, that will be, sometimes, that can have a different effect. You can have now, the N will change, the congestion cost will change, everything change, okay? But bottom line is, if you do that, the overall congestion cost will be reduced. Okay, all right. Any other question, anything?
Sir, I want to ask the confirmation on the quiz that you mentioned, because we have 6 weeks before mid-semester break for this semester. Yeah. So when would it be?
When is the break? The week number 7?
For this semester, we only have 12 weeks of lecture. So we have 6 weeks. Yes. So we have 6 weeks before mid-sem.
We have 14 weeks.
No, sir. For this semester, it's different.
12 weeks.
Yeah, 12 weeks only.
I cannot cover the syllabus of this course, So in that case, we will cover as much as we can. All right. We cannot go. I cannot go faster than normal. That's not good. So in that case, we will cover what we can cover. But the quiz would be minggu depan dah week number 6. After that will be the break. So that means after the break lah, you have the quiz. But with congestion lah. No, with congestion.
Right.
You have the quiz. After that, you have the midterm. Okay. After that, you have the final exam. So I didn't know that. Actually, I thought the semester is 14 weeks.
For this semester, only 12 weeks, and we only have like 1 to 2 study days, and then two weeks of final exam. So it's very packed. I think because of the previous semester.
It's not good
the
for
previous
me.
semester. Yes, true, sir.
So it's okay. We will not be rushing to cover. Okay, we'll just cover as much as we can given the time. Because if you cover a lot of things, at high speed, there is no time for you to digest these things, given the time constraint. So don't worry, okay? Don't worry about the syllabus. We just worry about whatever we can cover in 12 weeks. That's it, all right? So the quiz would be, because this is the week number 5. Or you can have the quiz next week. But I don't think you want the quiz next week.
Yes, can we have it after mid-semester breaks?
Next week, next week, and then you have the break. So one way, I can have the quiz out during the break. Okay? During the break. It's because now we have online. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you remember that song? Wherever you go, whatever you do, you still can take the quiz. Okay? So probably we maintain it week number 7 during the break.
Cancel.
Because we have time. We don't have time. But maybe I'm not, according to the SOP, probably we are not supposed to do anything during the break. So I think we will do week 8. Okay? All right. So actually, I haven't finished. I got one more model to discuss about the public good.
So I think someone is trying to say something.
Maybe I'm not going to discuss about that model. We will just look at that model. Okay, main internet tengok. Alamak, siap je. Ni, kenapa kat mana ni? Where are you? UIA ke? Are you in UIA? Takkan UIA tengok ni? Tengok internet? Charge higher price during per hour Hari Raya Festival. Yeah, you're right. But if you charge high toll during Hari Raya Festival, then the government will lose the next election. Okay, so So we have also to be sensitive, you know, charging the higher toll, you know, during what period of time. If you charge during rush hour, I think that is fine, you know. But if you charge higher toll during hari raya, itu berat. Okay? I think people can go. I mean, the government can lose the next election, you know, if they do that. So you economically speaking, yes, but equity perspective, no. Okay, but I think during the peak time you can do that. All right, but for festivities period, I don't think that's a good idea. You can, okay, but not a good idea. Okay, all right. Okay, so this one, okay, the quiz will be covered up to this chapter. Okay, so basically 2 chapters, externality and the one that we are doing now. All right, not much. So given the 2 chapters, we're going to do that. Okay, make sure you do the homework questions, understand the concept, that will be enough. Okay, all right. So I will see you again. Have a nice weekend. Okay, do the question I assigned to you. Maybe next week we can discuss how to do that, or if you have question on how to do that problem, you can raise up in the WhatsApp. Okay, don't PM me. Okay, if you have a question on the course, do not PM me. Do it in the group WhatsApp so that everybody can share. Okay, because what you have is positive externality. Okay, your question is a positive externality, and it's also a public good. So do it in the group WhatsApp. Okay, all right. So I will see you again next week. Have a nice weekend. Take care. I'll see you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.